Hi, my dearest of family. So today we are going to be looking at the upcoming Saturn and North Node conjunction. I mean, it's a aspect that doesn't happen every single day, so I decided to try to gather my thoughts and give you clues about what this conjunction will be about. Of course, if we start looking at the Saturn and North Node conjunction, how often it happens, well, it's going to be happening only once every decade, pretty much. So it's an important conjunction, right? Now, let's get going. By the way, if you would like to have a reading with me, then you can do that. You can go on my website, AstroViktor.com, and I've got availabilities now for May. So go ahead and then book your spot now. And if you would like to get weekly updates from me, then you can even sign up on my weekly news channel, and I will be giving you breakdowns for all 12 signs, additional informations about the week ahead, and so forth. So this might be something that you can benefit from. Now, let's have a look at this Saturn and North Node conjunction. I mean, first of all, what's very interesting is well, we've got the conjunction happening on the 21st of April, 2025. And this is going to be happening on 26 degree of Pisces. But it does have got a very tight conjunction to Venus as well, which is on 25 degree of Pisces. And later this week, Venus will be making a conjunction to both Saturn and North Node as well. But there is something else which is really interesting. If we think about the last few weeks, well, Venus and Mercury turn direct around this degree as well. So it looks like that definitely we have got still this Venus and Mercury topics going on. And now the Saturn and North Node conjunction is actually highlighting that. And the other very interesting part is that Saturn, which is the lord of karma, comes together with a fated point, which is the North Node. And the North Node would represent something that we are meant to be going towards because it's a point of growth in our chart. But it looks like we're going to have to do a lot of digging here because we've got something old, Saturn, that needs to be explored potentially. And because this conjunction takes place in the very last sign of the zodiac, it would represent that we need to be able to say goodbye to it. And for example, if it happens in your first house, then it would be a saying goodbye, for example, to an old self of yours. It's somehow talking to you about a rebirth. Because we are somehow on the threshold with this Mercury and Venus retrograde. Mercury and Venus retrograde started on 9 degree of Aries, and then it went back to approximately about 26 degree, 25 degree of Pisces. And of course, Aries is all about new beginnings, and Pisces is about letting go of something. So it really feels like that we are getting this karmic reset here, where we are able to leave, for example, the past behind, leave a relationship behind, leave workplace behind, and so forth. It really feels like that this conjunction is inviting us to experience an awakening. And because there is North Node there, which can have a bit of a greedy quality to it, often there is a lot of longing going on with this conjunction as well. So we are longing to be able to move forward. We are longing to be able to leave the past behind. We basically are longing for starting completely fresh. And I would say that because Saturn is a slow-moving energy, and North Node is approximately spending about 1.5 years in each sign. So this might be showing that unfortunately things are not necessarily moving forward as quickly as we would like to. So because Saturn represents patience, we're going to have to be a little bit patient with these as well. But the other very fascinating thing is that the modern ruler of Pisces, Neptune, is still on 0 degree of Aries. And Neptune and North Node made a conjunction back in February 2025. So we started receiving some peaks how to move forward. But it looks like with Saturn, we just need a tweak here. We need to have certain type of clarity, for example. Maybe it can feel like that we have been in this karmic loop and then we don't know how to break out of it. And then Saturn comes around now and says, okay, let me give you clarity. This is the way how you can move forward. You're going to have to roll up the sleeves. You're going to have to cut out any type of BS. You're going to have to cut out the illusions, for example, and then you will be just fine. And Saturn says, create boundaries, give a sense of form to whatever you would like to achieve. It's no time anymore to dream about where we can be and what we can do. It's all about action time. And this is also confirmed by the way that we do have got the last quarter moon phase also happening as well, which is definitely an invitation to get going, to take action about something. It really feels like that the Saturn North Node conjunction says to us that it's time to end something in our lives. Maybe we have been too forgiving. Maybe we have been too romantic, for example. Maybe it felt like that we were in a movie scene and there is this princess story going on. And maybe this conjunction is telling us that there is no such thing as miracle. The miracle starts with us. And we need to understand that on an intuitive and on a physical level as well, that everything lies within us. So also very interesting to see that we do have got Saturn here, which is the representation of family legacy as well. And the lunar nodes often the representation of family legacy also, because if you think about the lunar nodes, which are the calculation of basically it's calculated of the path of the sun and the moon. So it really feels like that we are meant to be leaving a family unit behind. So what it tells me is that we have got these deeply buried family teachings. Maybe we have got this traditional side to us as well, which is meant to be somehow moving forward, or we are meant to be moving away from. And I'm just wondering, with Neptune being on 0 degree of Aries, for example, that could talk to us about that what we've learned is that we don't need to be standing up for our rights. We don't need to express our sexuality. We don't need to be an entrepreneur, for example, and so forth. Of course, you're going to have to be looking at where your own chart is, where the Pisces and the Aries cusp of your chart falls. Because if it's in your 10th house, maybe you feel like that, no, I would never be a great business person. So I'm going to have to be able to just work for others and so on. And also, maybe this is an invitation as well with Saturn and North Node conjunction that we're going to have to be able to evolve and we're going to have to start loving ourselves and loving others the way they are. And we need to understand that certain people are different. They have got a different DNA makeup. They have got a different approach to life. And maybe one of the questions that pops up with this conjunction is that who cares what other people do? So we're gonna have to be able to focus a little bit more on ourselves as well. Now, of course, remember that the nodes do have got two, but we've got two types of nodes, right? And we've got the south node, and then we've got the north node. Even though this Saturn and north node conjunction, I mean, Saturn is making a conjunction to north node, south node plays a role as well. And maybe we need to be able to realize that, okay, we cannot control certain type of things. We're gonna have to be able to give up trying to fix something, and that would be the path forward. You know, Saturn tends to make things very clear to us, and often it is made clear through hardship. but also often it is made clear by society. So maybe imagine certain representation of rules and obligations and the government. The government is making a rule here that there is no other choice but to accept a certain scenario. And also, this conjunction takes place in the sign of Pisces, which is the representation of making a sacrifice. So it looks like that somehow you're going to have to be able to integrate a sacrificial behavior into your everyday life as well, in order for you to get pushed into the right direction. And with South Node being in the sign of Virgo, the South Node would represent something that we need to be able to release. It could feel like that. It could feel like that we have no option anymore. We cannot fix a situation. We cannot actually tackle every single problem. We're just gonna have to learn to go with the flow. We should stop sometimes analyzing. We should stop trying to be productive and effective at all times, because putting too much energy into trying to fix little things in our lives could be self-destructive as well. So, because North Node is the point of future in our chart, the future forward is the creation of certain type of boundaries, for example. Or moving forward is something to do with making our dreams come true. And maybe with that Virgo South Node, we're going to have to stop being too critical, too judgmental, too detail orientated. Maybe simply we're going to have to stop being worried. We're gonna have to stop being stuck in the past, because then we are not going to be able to see the future that is pretty much Saturn is trying to lay out for us now. Saturn says, in a way, focus, be disciplined, explore uncharted territories as well. So explore new opportunities, because maybe you have been trying to do the same things all over again. And this is the reason why you are getting somehow stuck. So there is a lot going on, by the way, this week. This is a very intense week because we also have got the Pluto and Mars opposition building up as well. And don't forget that this Saturn and North Node conjunction is really tied with Venus as well. And Venus would talk to you about self-love. It would talk to you about certain type of karmic love stories, for example. It looks like that we're going to have to be able to maybe potentially let go of certain type of relationships, or maybe this is also telling you that you're going to have to make a decision whether you want to commit to a relationship, you want to be in a long-term relationship, or you just want to be playing a little bit around. And this is something that Venus wanted us to explore the last couple of months while it was retrograde. Whether you feel worthy, whether you are in the right relationship, and so forth. And then we had Mercury retrograde going through the same degrees as well, which means that maybe you have tried to make these connections all over again. You have been thinking about this for a very long time. And maybe you haven't been able to make up your mind up yet. But now Mercury is almost out of the shadow period, on one hand. Secondly, it's in the sign of Aries, so it has gained quite a lot of bravery. But maybe with that Saturn, it also can feel like that. Oh, you know what? I'm too old to be in a relationship. I'm too old to change jobs and looking at new ways of earning money, for example. You can have these pessimistic way of thinking, especially with this Saturn kind of Mercury conjunction, which is not a conjunction anymore, of course, but Saturn and North Node happening on those degrees where Mercury went through quite a few times, you can have had that pessimistic way of thinking. The other thing is that maybe what it feels like is that it's too much work. It's too much work to start loving others. It's too much work to start loving myself. It's too much work to start a new career path and so forth. So we might be just kind of like giving up with that Piscean energy. But Saturn says what you reap is what you sow. So you're just gonna have to be extremely committed. You're gonna have to grow up a little bit. You're gonna have to be mature about the situation that is right in front of you. You're gonna have to stop kind of like crying that, oh my days, I've got so much responsibility going on. And so I'm too old, I'm too wrinkled, no one is gonna take me on. Because it means that you are imposing certain type of limitations on yourself. You are holding yourself back from moving forward, advancing in life. So basically, this conjunction says it's never too late. And Saturn is a teacher archetype. If you don't go towards the path that you need to be on, it's gonna bring you a lot of limitations. It could even bring you certain type of health issues as well. So, for example, it might be bringing you Venusian issues, which could be something to do with skin problems, or it could bring you kidney issues, and so forth. Even Saturn rules actually the skin, but Saturn is more to do with the protection of the skin, so the protective side of the skin, and Venus is the beauty part of the skin. So, and also potentially talking about the skin, Venus in Pisces is very much about the soft skin, like, when you use the uh, like these lotions and buttercreams and all this type of stuff. And then Saturn is pretty much the rough skin. So Saturn-North Node conjunction might be telling us that it's kind of like roughening up your skin a little bit, and then after apply a bit of a lotion so that you feel kind of like softer and so on. And also, having Venus and Mercury, having had hovered through those degrees, Venus and Mercury often is about togetherness, or it could represent certain type of negotiations as well. So this might be something where with Saturn and North Node, we are about to have the very last conversation. We are about to make the very last agreement with someone. And then maybe we decide that we don't want to come back to this topic anymore. Well, we will see about that because Saturn, of course, moves into the sign of Aries, and then it's going to come back into Pisces. So it might feel like that this is kind of like the last contractual agreement or the last kind of like talks that we are going to be having about this, but actually it won't be most likely. And also, going back to that family legacy part, it really feels like that because let's be frank, family upbringing is always going to be something that burns into your soul. And you tend to be making decisions according to the teachings of your parents. So you might even want to think about in what ways my parents, my ancestry line, imposed limitations onto me. And it feels like that maybe this is a time when we are meant to be actually confronting our fears, confronting our limitations. And simply, it could even talk to you about having to sit down with certain type of people in your life, such as your parents or your best friend or your grandparents and so forth. And then kind of like talking it out or looking at what type of limitations they have gone through. So it really feels like that this is an invitation that we are meant to be kind of like having an open and honest conversation about the past. And then once we've done that, then we are able to actually move forward. I really feel like with Saturn and North Node conjunction, it's all about writing a completely new karmic journey. So get a book, especially in the sign of Pisces, which is the representation of like manifestation, the universal law. So it really feels like that you are meant to be kind of like getting a piece of paper and then writing down a completely new life chapter in your, like, yeah, where you want your life to be heading, because it can get granted to you. And once Saturn moves into the sign of Aries, it's going to be exciting because we can actually crystallize those. And fair enough. It might be not like it might not be the right book that you are about to start, and there is going to be an awakening once Saturn goes retrograde in the sign of Aries, but at least you've tried. Also, Saturn is the planet of rules, and Northern is a little bit of a rule breaker. So there could be a debate here whether I want to follow the rules, or I want to create the rules, or I just want to escape from the rules. And which one you are about to choose, it highly depends on the experiences that you had with the Venus and Mercury retrograde, of course. Um, it really also feels like that there is a lot going on with certain type of pattern recognitions here. So again, of course, recognizing the patterns that you actually learn from your parents, but pattern recognition can also be something that you have been doing all over again. Maybe if this conjunction happens in your seventh house, then you've been repeating the same relationship patterns all over again. And because Pisces is also connected to the brain, it is connected somehow to your subconscious. So this is telling you that you have got certain, like your subconscious is wired in certain ways. And now maybe you have to let your intuition soar a little bit. Now, the tightest asteroid to this conjunction is actually Cassandra. I think we have spoken about Cassandra recently quite a lot, actually, because it has been prominent for a while. But maybe let me talk about it again because it's kind of like never enough. Its astrological number, by the way, is 114, if you would like to look it up where it is. So let's talk about Cassandra, actually, from a mythological point of view. So she was a twin sister of a guy called Helenus, and both children were gifted with the ability to see the future. And basically, these children were sleeping in a temple at night. And when they were sleeping, snakes came around and they whispered or leaked information into their ears. So, this is the reason why they had the ability to know or to see the future. And this was kind of like a gift from the god Apollo. And by the way, Cassandra was considered just as beautiful as Aphrodite. So obviously, Aphrodite never liked anyone who had same beauty as herself. So she was jealous of her. And Apollo, actually, one of the reasons why he gave this talent to Cassandra was because he was in love with her, basically. So that would be the story. And now, Aphrodite, as mentioned earlier, she was jealous of her. And what happened was that Cassandra kind of got driven into this madness. She foresaw, for example, the fall of Troy, and she made predictions. But of course, because Aphrodite was jealous of her, Aphrodite cursed her, that no one would ever believe her predictions. And that's exactly what happened. No one ever believed. Sorry, actually, it wasn't Aphrodite who cursed her, it was Athena. So the story there is that um, Athena basically, someone got raped, like Cassandra got raped in the temple, and Athena blamed Cassandra for it, and this is the reason why Athena actually cursed her, that no one would ever believe her um, stories. So, what does Cassandra show in our chart? Basically, it really shows you that someone who is able to see the future, but they have got a belief system, but no one necessarily believes them. It would talk to you about even someone who refuses to tell the truth because no one is going to believe me anyway. So, what's the point in talking about my own truth? It also represents people in your life who might not be listening to you. It might be the representation that, like, it shows where you feel you are right, but you are always seen as someone who makes a mistake. So, therefore, you get ridiculed for something that you truly believe in. And also, it could talk to you about loss of credibility, but also it could feel like with Cassandra that I'm meant to be talking about something, no matter whether I'm going to be a joke or a laughter to others, because my gut feeling is telling you that this is the path that I need to be on. So, how does that potentially play a role, for example, with this conjunction? Well, it really feels like that you are about to be on a journey, but you might be extremely worried, South Node in the sign of Virgo, that people are gonna laugh at you. People are gonna find this path of acceptance and self-love, and people might be laughing at you that, oh, you are too old to go towards this journey, and so forth. What did you think? Even we can be meeting people who are gonna tell us that I told you so, because you might be experiencing certain type of delays or even a failure at the beginning of it. So this could be a point of your chart where you start questioning even your sanity. You might not be even trusting that the future can look better. So this would be Cassandra with the Saturn and North Node conjunction. And we can even kind of like think about that we do have got Venus there as well. So it's kind of like imagine that you are about to go and have a love reading with someone, and then someone is going to ridicule you that, oh, really, you go for these psychic readings, or do you think that they are able to tell you the future and so forth? So it can also feel like, because Mercury went retrograde around these degrees, that you are about to have a conversation with someone, but like they are deaf. They are not listening to you. Or they look like that they listen. So basically, this is about falling on deaf ears. It could feel like that you are getting silenced or unheard as well. And basically, this Saturn and North Node conjunction is really telling you that you don't want to be silenced anymore. In order for you to grow, I'm going to stop worrying about what other people think of me because I am worthy. And maybe this is also an invitation that sometimes I can actually laugh at myself as well, because we all make mistakes. So, guys, this is a short description of the upcoming Saturn and North Node conjunction. I hope it helps. And then, if you would like to figure out how it might be playing out in your life, then come and have a reading with me. See you soon. Bye bye.